Welcome back. In the last video, I cleaned up selections. We put 3 images together. We're doing a travel poster. And just to recap, chose a location. For the foreground, we chose either an animal, plant, food, something that sort of represents the location we chose. And then in the middle ground, we chose a landmark. And for the background, landscape from the location. We combined them in Photoshop and then brought them into Illustrator to give us a vector drawing. Now we did use image trace, and don't come at me, I know that that is not an industry standard, but to give us a beginner's sort of an understanding of what the vector does with the selections and everything, we're using image trace. Now to give you guys all a rundown on how that works, if you go over here on your layer palette, over on the right hand side where I'm squiggling my mouse around, if I select the cow and I look at my group, you can see there are about 1 million different tiny little shapes, and it's even going to take a minute to pull them all up. Okay, now if we were drawing this, we probably wouldn't spend this much time making so many tiny little shapes, but it gives you an idea of how this works and what you can do to modify it. Now I can go into my direct selection tool and I can click on my shapes and I can change them. If I want to, maybe make it a little bit more angled or move some shapes, maybe there was a little bit of a gap, you can kind of play around with some of these paths and make them your own. Okay, so that'll allow you to do that just by clicking the direct selection tool and grabbing the anchor points. And we'll go into that a lot more in other lessons. But for now, I'm not gonna do too much with that. Okay, so we cleaned up our selections. Now what we need to do, I'm gonna click off of there just to get rid of that selection. I'm going to expand the border because for the vintage posters, most of them have some sort of a border around the edges. And the quickest, easiest way to do that is to select the Artboard tool, which you can also pull up by clicking Shift-O. So let's go ahead and click that. Now I can expand it, but if I do that without holding any buttons, it's going to give me this freehand expand, which is not going to make it the easiest in order to make an even border all the way around. So I'm going to hit Command Z again. And if I hold Shift, it'll allow me to expand it and keep the aspect ratio, which is the same proportion. So no matter where I pull it, it's still keeping those same proportions. But notice it's only doing it from one side. So if I go over to this other side and hold Shift, I might end up with a border that's still not even. It looks kind of even, but I'm gonna hit Command Z to undo that. Now, if I hold Shift, Alt, or Option, it does it from all 4 sides. See that? And it keeps that aspect ratio. So I'm going to give myself a little bit of a border. All right. Now I don't want that border to be white. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my layer palette and I'm going to click the plus, make a new layer. I'm doing that just above my background. Actually, yeah, I'm doing that just above my background. And I want to add a color to it. So I'm going to click on this rectangle tool and I'm going to drag across my entire picture. Now it automatically chose the color that is in this box. So I think I'm going to change that. If you double click on it, you can change it inside the color picker. If you want to choose a color from your image, which I highly recommend, you can always modify it. If you use the eyedropper tool, you can click on your image and choose a color from within your image. Now I may want to sort of match it to the green, but the green that's actually in there is a little bit muddy. It's a little bit too dark. So if I want to modify it from there, just double click and we can brighten that up. Okay, and think about it, we are making a vintage poster, so if you make it too, don't make it too loud. We want it to enhance the image but not overwhelm it. So I'm going to choose something. I might make it a little bit more yellow just to tone it down. Okay, kind of like that color. All right, so now we need to add some text to this, so I'm going to head over to fontsadobe.com. All right, If you Google that, you should be able to get in. You'll need to be logged in order to access this, so use your email address and log in. As far as the fonts that are similar to vintage travel posters, if we look at some of the examples, most of them they're sans serif, meaning they don't have the little tails on the end. Like we talked about, some of them do, but most of them don't. You know, you can get a variety of different fonts from these, but let's just look and see what we have over here. If you look on the left-hand side, you're going to see that they have tags. View 13 more, and there are different styles. You can see here if you want to make sure that you get sans serif, you can choose that. What I like to do is first type in the word that I want it to spell. So you can put that in the sample text up at the top. And if you don't see this, actually it'll go to home when you first get there. You can click Browse All, and that's going to bring you to this page that I'm on. You can type in your sample text, and then you can choose one of the tags. If you're not seeing anything right off the bat, there's one here that's kind of vintage feeling. You want it to be legible. You know, something like this is not very legible. It's kind of trippy. Neither is this. Salando. Right. You can scroll through. If you're not seeing what you like, you can click on one of these tags over here. Let's just see what geometric gives me. All right, another way you can browse is if you look for keywords. If you search for the word vintage up at the top, it's going to bring you to some more vintage ones. You can choose show font images, and it'll kind of show them in a designer aspect instead of just the words written. But you want to be careful of things that really cling to a certain idea. Like this feels very 1950s car diner. Letterman really feel like a vintage travel poster. This one looks like a 50s, 60s Letterman jacket. So look through. Once you find one that you like, you're just going to click Add Family. Now I'm going to go over to my document, and I'm going to click on the T, which is the text tool. You'll notice that there's a lot of little options in here. We'll go into how to do some of those later on, but for right now, I'm just going to click on it. Now, you can draw a text box, but I'm not going to. There will be times where we'll need to do that. Maybe we need to keep the text within a certain space. So I'm just going to make a layer above. If I click right now, it's going to put it on this layer, and it's going to be behind all my images. So I'm going to go to the top, make a new layer down here, click the plus, and you'll see that your layer pops up. If it's not on top, drag it to the top, okay? Because we want it on top of everything else. And then I'm just going to click on my image and start typing. Now it's teeny tiny. Look at how tiny it is. If I type it and then click Command A, it will select it. I'm going to make it 100 for now. You can hit Command and scooch it over if it's not right where you need it. And now, depending on the font, it may need to be a little bit bigger or smaller. So I'm just going to select across it. I don't want Myriad Pro. It's like the most generic one. I'm going to scroll down. Remember the name of the font that you downloaded, and mine is right here. Okay, so if you see a little arrow next to it, click on it and look at the options that you have. So this has some pretty cool ones. This is very hard to read. It's very cool, but not ideal if I'm trying to catch someone's attention, a viewer, to make them go to Scotland. So I'm going to click Regular Shine. I like that one. But I feel like this is a little bit small, so I'm going to try 130, get a little bit bigger. I can use Command and scoot it down. I might make it even a little bit bigger than that. So Command A will allow you to select all of it, 50. And the command will allow you to drag it around. Okay, I kind of like that. Now you want to look at, and this is kind of working out in my favor, the way the S is drooping down and then it goes up to the C, because it's sort of mimicking the shape of the hill right there. That just worked out, okay? You know, play around with your location. You don't want it to be, it doesn't have to be in the upper right, but you don't want it to be covering, you know, your main part of your image, okay? Don't cover up important things. I don't want it down here. I'm going to be changing the color of it, but still it's just, there's a lot more negative space up here, and this seems to work. So you play around with it. Every picture is going to be different. Now, I don't want it to be jet black. You can make it white, but I do highly recommend choosing a color that is in your document, and you can kind of click around on different colors. I'm going to click off of there so I can see it. This is a color in the document, but it is so muted and similar to the background that it's not really helping my image. So I'm going to click on it. Let's just see if I want it to kind of pop. So I'm going to choose one of these yellow colors. No, it made it white. Okay. There we go. All right. I'm going to click off of it. Way too similar and weird in comparison to the background. So I'm going to click on this and make some adjustments manually. Okay, I kind of like it mimicking the color of the cow. Maybe make it a little bit more intense. But think of how it works with the rest of your composition. The idea is to keep similar colors so that there's a connection. They're not all over the place. All right. Click OK. Now, you're going to add a paper texture, a sort of a vintage crumpled paper texture to this, because right now it's looking a little bit too crisp and clean. In order to do that, I have supplied some crumpled paper assets into Google Classroom. You are welcome to find your own, but I will recommend the ones I put in there are already black and white. If you put ones in that are colored, it will affect the color of your finished product. So it may end up being something that you like, but the ones I put in there are already black and white, and the texture is sort of enhanced. So if it's in Google Classroom, you'll need to download it onto your computer. To make it easy access, I put it on my desktop so I can just drag it in there. I'm going to make a new layer on top. You also want to make sure that you don't drag it so that it's below everything. Drag that over, and I'm going to use the selection tool. If that's not selected, you won't be able to change the size. So we want to make sure we're on the selection tool, drag it to the corners. All right, once we've pasted that in there and positioned it where we want it, we are going to change it. We need to image trace it. Right now, this is currently rasterized. We can zoom in and we will see pixels. We want to turn this into a vector drawing like the rest of the image. So we are going to go to image trace. If you don't have your window open anymore, click window image trace. As long as this has been selected, click on that layer. You should see a bounding box around it. You should be able to click trace. And we don't want it black and white. I know it is in black and white. You can click color. You can even click grayscale, but black and white will only give you fully black or white. So grayscale and color will do about the same thing. We are going to head over to our transparency window. If you don't have that open, I don't think you would, go to window, scroll down, transparency, make sure that is checked. All right, once you have transparency, you're going to see these layer mode options. These are just like in Photoshop, so if you click on that, you'll be able to scroll through. The one that works the best for these, you can kind of play around with them and see what stuff does for other applications. Overlay works pretty well. Also screen, that one's too bright. All right, so overlay works pretty well. I'm going to reduce the opacity a little bit. And there you have it. We have a sort of vintage feel. The crumpled paper has given us an added texture, and when we zoom in, it is no longer pixelated or rasterized. It is an entire vector drawing. So we'll save that. So go ahead and hit Command S or go up to File, Save. Then to turn it in, because you can't send me an AI file on Classroom, I can't see it that way. Go to File, Save a Copy. Name it Travel Poster with your last name, not mine. And then choose Adobe PDF for the file format. Make sure you pay attention to where you're saving it and click Save. Okay, since I already did this, I have to click Replace because I'm replacing the old version. Save PDF. Then open up Google Classroom, find that in your Finder and drag it in there, and you are done. Yay, thank you. If you want to add more stuff to it, you can. You can go back and follow some of these steps if you want to add something else, but otherwise, turn that in. Make sure you click Turn In, and that is it. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.